Okay, so segment addition postulate says if A, B, and C are collinear points, and B is in between A and C, then AB plus BC equals AC. So what does that mean? You have a line, and A, B, C are on the line. They're collinear, okay? B is in between A and C. So segment AB plus segment BC equals the total segment of AC. Pretty logical, right? If you have one long piece and you break it up into two smaller pieces, you add the two smaller pieces together, you get the long piece. Good? Okay, next we have the distance formula. This is the formula used to find the distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane. If we go get water, it's literally right outside my door.
I went to the restroom and water.
Huh?
I went to the restroom and get water.
So your distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Y'all remember what those little subscripts are?
No.
This is saying your second point's x value, your first point's x value. So the subscript is telling you what point we are talking about. Okay, it's not an exponent. Okay? Does that help us a little bit? Do y'all remember like m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 from algebra, finding slope?
Will we have to memorize the formulas?
Some of them you're going to need to memorize. I will let you know once we decide which ones. Distance formula and midpoint formula you're probably going to need to memorize. Okay? So, midpoint formula is used to find the midpoint, so the middle point between two endpoints. We use a capital M to denote midpoint. So M equals, it's used to find the midpoint, so your answer is going to be a point, so an x value comma a y value. So all you do is you find the average of your x values, so x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That's how you're going to find the x value of your midpoint. That's how you're going to find the y value of your midpoint. Okay? Next is a segment bisector. A segment bisector is a segment, line, or plane that intersects a segment at its midpoint. So let's see if I have this line, AB, and then I have a line cutting through it, line L, and then I say these two are congruent. That's how we denote congruent. Those are the same. Okay? That means line L would be your segment bisector. Okay? It's breaking my line AB into two congruent pieces. Jeez. Good? Okay, like I said, we're skipping the next three. Let's go to perpendicular. Do y'all remember what perpendicular means? This is something you did talk about in algebra. Yeah, they cross and they make what?
90
right angles, 90-degree angles. Okay, so perpendicular are two lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle or a right angle. This is the symbol we use for perpendicular. Okay, a lot of times you'll see it like that to show that it actually does have a right angle. So if I have line L and line M, and then there's that little perpendicular symbol right there. Those two lines are perpendicular to each other. Make sure if you're drawing lines, you're putting arrows at the end, guys. Okay, what's a perpendicular bisector? A perpendicular bisector is a line, segment, or ray perpendicular to a segment at its midpoint. So if I have a line segment, AB, and then I have this line going through it, line L, that's the midpoint. If these two are congruent, that is called a perpendicular bisector. Okay, so we said a segment bisector breaks a segment into two congruent pieces. A perpendicular bisector breaks it into two congruent pieces, and it's perpendicular. Okay, do we see the difference between a perpendicular bisector and just a bisector? A bisector is two congruent pieces, two congruent segments. A perpendicular bisector is two congruent pieces or segments, and it's perpendicular to the line. Okay? Then parallel lines, two lines that never intersect, and this is your symbol. Okay, I normally do slashes, like slanted. Okay? Two lines that never intersect. Line L and line M are parallel. So we could say L is parallel to M. That's not a perfect picture because those kind of look like they might eventually intersect if I extended them. Just because you don't see the point of intersection, does that mean they're not parallel? Or does that mean they're parallel? No, because you could extend them. So the way we denote on a picture that they're parallel is like in the middle we draw these little arrows. That's saying these two lines are parallel. Okay, you can't assume two lines are parallel. Good? Guys, I will tell you, we just made your test. There will be vocabulary on your test. Make sure you know these words. Okay, these words will be on your test. Good? We awake? We awake? Do we need to stand up? Do we need to do some jumping jacks to get going? Remember, guys, talk to me. Don't look at me. Just stare at me, please. It's awkward.
We're awake.
So maybe we're awake, we're just mute, children?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to page 7. We are done with our vocabulary today. On to page 7. Okay, the distance between 2 points, A and B, the distance between 2 points, A and B, can be written as the length of AB or AB. Okay, so how long is segment AB from point A to point B? 4 long. Okay, if segment AB is equal to the measure of CD, that means segment AB is congruent. Remember, we talked about this last time. That means congruent to segment CD. So AB is how far? How long? 4. And then CD is also 4. So that means segment AB is congruent to segment CD, or AB is equal to BC. CD, sorry. Okay, now we're going to go into the segment addition postulate. If A, B, and C are collinear points and B is in between A and C, then we already said this in our definition. What does this mean? AB plus BC is equal to AC, One piece plus another piece is equal to the whole piece. One segment plus another segment is equal to the whole segment. Good? Okay, so use the diagram below for questions 1 and 2. If PQ is 9 and QR is 28, what is PR? 37, there we go. We got there. Okay, so then if QR is 17 and PR is 21, then what's PQ? 4. 4 plus 17 gives you the whole. This time it didn't give me the piece and the piece, it gave me the piece and the whole. So I had to take the whole, which is your 21, and subtract it by one of the two segments. It gave me 17 to get 4. Good? Okay. Now this is where algebra comes into play. I told you all the most important thing from algebra to help you be successful in geometry is solving equations. Okay, if EG, so the whole segment is 71, find the value of x. So what am I going to do here? Combine what? They're not equations, they don't have equal signs. I'm not doing it for you guys. I have a piece, and I have a piece, and it tells me the whole. What should I do to solve for x? Add the two.
13x.
Line segments, thank you. Add the two segments and set it equal to the whole. I have this segment plus this segment gives me the whole segment. So 8x minus 17 plus 5x minus 3 equals 71. Both the segments add together gives you the whole segment. Okay? So draw your line through the equals. This is what we've been doing on our math review warm-ups. Okay? 8x plus 5x. 13x. Negative 17 minus 3. Negative 20 equals 71. What do I do next? Add 20 on both sides. Okay, then what do I do?
13x equals 91.
Okay, then what do I do? Divide by 13. And I get x equals 7. Guys, the biggest mistakes we make on these is we don't answer the question. Sometimes it's going to ask you, what's the value of x? Sometimes it's going to ask you, what's a segment length? Okay? Make sure you're answering the question it's asking. This says find the value of x. My answer is x equals 7. Okay? We ready for the next one? We ready for the next one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, I have TU and I have UV. Do I know the total?
Yes.
What's the total? Very good. So I'm going to add these two together and I'm going to set it equal to the total. So 9x plus 2 plus 5 equals 14x minus 8. Okay, combine your like terms and what do I get?
11x. Oh, wait, no.
9x plus 7.
Plus 16.
What?
What?
Never mind.
Are we okay if I move my variable and my constant all in one step? What do I mean by that? I'm going to move my 14x from the right to the left, so I'm going to minus 14x on both sides. because I always move my variables to the left. Then I'm also in this same step going to move my constant from the left to the right, because I always move constants to the right. So minus 7. Are we okay with doing that? Moving my variable term and my constant term in the same step? I need you all to respond because I don't know how great we are, I was not your teacher last year, with solving equations. Are we okay if I combine those two steps?
Yes.
Okay. So the 7 minus 7 goes away, the 14x minus 14x goes away, and I am left with, what's 9x minus 14x?
Negative 5x.
Negative 5x equals?
Negative 15.
Negative 15. What do I do next?
Divide by negative 5.
Divide by negative 5. I need one more color. Hold on. Divide both sides by negative 5. And I get what?
X equals 5. Oh my God.
Is that the answer? No, because the question says find TU. So now I need to do TU, which is right here. 9 times x, what's x?
3.
Plus 2. So what's 9 times 3? Plus 2. So TU equals 29. Notice how I'm not just saying 29. If you just say 29, you're going to lose some points. Okay, what's 29? Okay, TU is 29. Good? Is this refreshing our memory of solving equations? Is it logical? A piece plus a piece gives you the whole? Okay. They can ask these type questions of multiple different ways depending on what they give you. Okay, do I have a piece and a piece? Yes, I have both pieces labeled. Do I have the whole?
Yes.
The whole is from J to L. Yes, so I'm going to add my two pieces and set it equal to the whole. So 27 plus 3x minus 1 equals the whole, which is 5x plus 2. Before you move anything from side to side, combine your like terms. I always put my x term first, so I'm going to put my 3x first. What's 27 minus 1? 26. So plus 26. Drop down your 5x minus 2, because those are not, or sorry, plus 2, because those are not like terms. So were we okay moving both the variable and the constant term in the same step? So we're going to do that again, okay? So I always move my x's to the left. So how am I going to move my 5x from the right to the left?
Minus 5.
Minus 5 what? X. And then I always move my constants from the left to the right. So how am I going to move my 26 from the left to the right?
Minus 26.
Plus 26 minus 26 cancel out. 5x minus 5x cancel out. So it's 3x's minus 5x's. Equals?
Negative 24.
Okay, what do I do next?
Divide by 2.
Divide by what? Negative 2, and I get x equals? 12. Am I done? No, because it says find
35.
JL. So I have to use this right here. Okay? So JL equals 5 times x, which is 12, 2. So JL equals 5 times 12 is 60, plus 2 is 62. Do y'all feel like you can do the next one on your own?
Yes.
I do. Try it. Okay, try number 6 on your own. Are we ready, or do we need like one more minute? One more minute, okay. Yeah, go quickly. So this one was slightly easier because it said just find x. You got to stop. You did not have to find like a segment. Okay, so I got x is 5. Thumbs, how'd we do? If we made a mistake, do we see our mistake we made? I will say normally when we make mistakes over this type of stuff, it's simple math errors, not really the geometry error. Okay, we good? Okay, we're doing one more of these, but this one entails a lot more. You're finding multiple things. Okay, we're going to start it the same way. We need to know the value of x in order to find any of these segments, because all the segments have an x. Okay, so it says SK, so that's right here. So that's SK. And then it says KY. KY is right here. And then it equals SY, which is the whole. So I'm going to add my two pieces and set it equal to the whole, to the 36 minus x. Very good. So I have 13x minus 5 plus 2x plus 9 equals 36 minus x. Okay, combine your like terms. 13x plus 2x's. And then negative 5 plus 9 plus 4. Very good. Drop down your equals 36 minus x. Again, I'm going to move my constants in the same term, same step as moving my variables. So how am I going to move my negative x from the right to the left?
Plus x.
Plus x. How am I going to move my plus 4 from the left to the right?
Minus 4.
Minus 4. So it's 15x's plus another x. And then what is 36 minus 4?
32.
Okay, what am I going to do? Do what?
Divide 16.
Very good. And we get x equals 2. There we go. X is 2. What do we need to do next?
Plug in x.
Plug it in.
Plug it in to find SK. Okay, so 13 times 2 minus 5. What's 13 times 2?
26.
Minus 5? 21. That's your SK. Okay. Then KY. 2 times x, which is 2, plus 9. 13. Okay, before we calculate SY, what's 21 plus 13?
34.
So SY should be 34 when I substitute in my 2. So 36 minus x, which x is 2, and we get... So did we do everything right? Yes. Okay, what if I got like 50 here? Then we did it wrong. You would have to start all over. Okay? We good with our segment addition postulate? Okay. Next, midpoint of a segment. Okay? The midpoint of a segment is the point that divides the segment into what? You have 1, 2, 3 blanks. 2, and we're going to say congruent. And we're not going to say parts, we're going to say segments. But very good, you were super close. Right idea, just not the specific wording I wanted, but good job. Okay? A line, ray, or segment that intersects a segment at its midpoint is said to be is said to, if something cuts it in half.
Intersect.
Okay, so intersect though, I can have like a line that intersects over here. That's not the middle of my hand. If it's in the middle, this is called it was one of our vocabulary words we did today. Okay, but if it's not necessarily perpendicular, all we said is it cuts it into 2 equal parts. It bisects the segment and is called the segment bisector. So this point B, that is the midpoint. This point, the line L, that is your segment bisector. That's a B, I'm abbreviating. It's your segment bisector. Do we see that? The point is what's cutting the segment into 2 equal parts. The line that is cutting it into 2 equal parts is called the segment bisector. In the diagram to the left, what is the midpoint? We just said this. B, do we use upper or lowercase for points? Uppercase. B is the midpoint of AC, of segment AC. Don't put arrows at the end because A and C are endpoints. It starts at A, ends at C. AC is a segment, not a line. Okay? And line, what line do we have here? Line L is a
segment bisector.
Segment bisector of, what is line?
C.
AC, segment AC. Okay, so more algebra with our midpoints. Okay, it says Q is the midpoint. If Q is the midpoint of segment PR, what does that mean about these 2 pieces, these 2 segments? Okay, they add up to PR. That's your segment addition. They're congruent. They're equal. Okay, so I can do 7x minus 16 equals 4x plus 2. If Q is in the middle, if Q is the midpoint, PQ is congruent to QR. Okay, because again, midpoint means middle. Breaks it into 2 congruent pieces, 2 congruent segments. Okay, let's solve this. I'm going to move my x over, so subtract 4x. And I'm going to move my constant over by adding 16. Okay, so it's 7x plus 4x. Sorry, 7x minus 4x equals 18. What do I do next? And I get x's. Is that what the question is asking?
Oh, yes.
Find the value of x. So are we done?
Yes.
Yes. Again, guys, you will learn in geometry. The biggest thing is make sure you're answering the question that's being asked. You could work a problem all correctly and then give me the wrong answer. You could answer a question you wish I asked. Okay, make sure you're actually answering the question that I am asking. Okay, next. H is the midpoint of segment GI. So if H is the middle, what does that mean about GH and HI? They're congruent, set them equal to each other. 5x plus 2 equals 9x minus 10. Again, I always move my x's to the left, so I can move my 9x from the right to the left. Minus 9x. And what's 5x minus 9x? Negative 4x. And then I'm going to do what to move my 2 over? Subtract 2. So what's negative 10 minus 2?
Negative 12.
What do I do next?
Divide by negative 4.
And I get x's 3. Is it asking me for x? No, what is it asking me for? GH. Okay, so I'm going to use this right here. So 5 times 3 plus 2. What's 5 times 3? Plus 2. 17. So we're going to say GH equals 17. Could you check yourself and plug 3 in for x here? What's 9 times 3? Minus 10? Should that match this? Yes, because these are congruent segments because point H is the midpoint. Okay? How are we feeling about these? Good? Okay, next one. R is the midpoint of segment QS. So what does that mean? They're congruent. 2x plus 16 equals 5x minus 17. Guys, I will tell you the biggest thing is each of these pieces that we're doing today, not super difficult, right? We okay with them? Sometimes it's confusing though. When do I add the two segments and when do I set the segments equal to each other? You set the segments equal to each other if you see third, midpoint. Midpoint means the two segments are congruent. Okay, how am I going to move my 5x over? Subtract 5x. What's the right minus 5x?
Negative 3x.
And how do I move my 16 over?
Minus 16.
Very good. So negative 17 minus 16 is?
Negative 33.
And then how do you get your negative 3 away from your x?
Minus 5x.
Divide by negative 3?
Oh,
I already did the minus 5x. Okay, so I get x equals 11. Is that what it's asking? No, what is it asking for this time? QS, that's the whole thing. So I'm going to do QR, so 2 times 11 plus 16. And I'm going to add it to RS because it's wanting the whole segment. So 5 times 11 minus 17. Guys, could you also have just found one of the segments and multiplied by 2? Yeah, because the two segments are congruent, okay? So 2 times 22, sorry, 2 times 11? 22 plus 16, 38. 5 times 11 minus 17. 38 and 38. What's 38 plus 38? 76. What is equal to 76? QS is equal to 76. Okay? Do y'all think you can do number 11 on your own?
Yes.
I do. Ew, this one's tricky, guys. You're done? Make sure you answer the question it's asking. Be careful, guys, it is not asking for the x value. It's asking for the y value. What did we get for y?
8.
Oh, good job. So we get 5 for x. You add the two, you set the two equal to each other and you get x is 5. Okay? Then you substitute 5 back in to each segment for x and you get 46. Well, 46 then is the whole segment FH. So you set 46 equal to FH, which is 6y minus 2. Then you solve for y, and we get y is 8. How'd we do? Did we all get x? Did we all get x is 5? Okay. Do we see how I got y is 8? If you did not get it right, are we okay? Do we see what we did wrong? Guys, again, this is only my second day teaching y'all. I don't know you yet. So y'all gotta actually respond to me whenever I say things like, are we okay? Like head nods, head shakes are great. We're not okay? What's wrong? Did you get x is 5? Yes. Okay, so we're all good there. So once I know the x value, I just plug 5 in. So what's 4 times 5? Plus 3. 23 times 2, because they're equal, because it's a midpoint. 46. So this whole segment's 46. Are we good with that? Well, it also says FH is equal to 6y minus 2. So I just do 6y minus 2 is equal to 46. And then you just solve for y. Add 2 on both sides, and I get 6y equals 48. Divide both sides by 6, and I get y is 8. So you have to use the x value to calculate the numerical length. Once you know the numerical length, then you set that equal to the expression 6y minus 2 to solve for y. Does that help a little bit? We good? Okay, now we're going to go on to doing our distance formula. Remember, I already said this. Those little subscripts, those are not exponents. This is telling me my first point's x value, my first point's y value. My second point's x value, my second point's y value. So the formula for distance is distance equals the square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Does it matter which one you choose as point 1 and point 2? It does not. The only thing that does matter is if I select one point as point 1, I have to say that's my first x value and that's my first y value. I can't get an x value from the first point and then the y value from the second point and say that's point 1. Okay, so whatever you choose to be your point 1 and your point 2, the x and the y values of that point have to stay together. Okay? So, find the distance between these 2 points. It's hard to look at the graph, so we need to actually write the ordered pairs. So, what's this ordered pair right here? Negative 5, 3. Okay? What's this point right here?
Negative 2, negative 3.
Negative 2, negative 3. I would label my points, guys. Label your points. X1, Y1. X2, Y2. Again, could I have chosen this as point 1? Yeah, I just would have had to label it X1, Y1. I couldn't label it X1, Y2. Okay, it can't be point 1 and point 2 all within the same point. Okay, but it doesn't matter. You could flip-flop them. Just be consistent. So, my formula is D equals the square root of, what's X2? Minus, what's X1? Minus a negative. We have our double signs. Squared. Plus, what's Y2? Minus Y1.
3.
Squared. Okay, so D equals the square root. What happens with double negatives, guys? Becomes a plus. Okay, so what's negative 2 plus 5? 3. What's 3 squared? 9. Are we okay with how the first parenthesis becomes 9? Okay, plus, what's negative 3 minus 3 more? Negative 6. What's negative 6 squared? Any number squared is always positive. Okay, because a negative times a negative is positive. A positive times a positive is positive. Okay, so negative 6 squared is positive 36. So D equals the square root. What's 9 plus 36? 45. Okay. We are going to write this as a decimal. Do we all know how to do the square root on our calculator? Okay, you do second and then the x squared button. See how in blue there's a square root there? The square root of 45. We are rounding to one decimal place, the tenths. So when you're rounding the tenths, you have to look at the hundredths. So forget of everything past the 100ths. Does a 0 round something up or keep it the same? Keep it the same. So it's 6.7. So we're going to do approximately 6.7. Notice how I'm using a squiggle, not an equals, because it's not equal to 6.7. Anytime we're rounding, you need to use the approximate symbol. Okay? We go with that? Okay. We have 2 points. Label your 2 points. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So we do D equals the square root of, what's X2? 3 minus X1, negative 4 squared plus Y2 minus Y1 squared. Okay, what do I do with my double signs? Okay, so D equals the square root. What's 3 plus 4?
7.
Squared. 49. Plus, what's negative 1 minus 1 more? Squared. Positive 4. 49 plus 4? 53. So if I type in the square root of 53, again, look at the hundredths place. Does an 8 round stuff up? Yes, so it becomes 7.3. Can y'all do the last one on your own? I think so. Guys, we're almost done. Y'all are doing a great job, okay? How'd we do? What'd we make our mistakes on? Double negatives? Subtracted incorrectly? Okay. Is there anything we're confused about? Even if you got it wrong, if you now understand, you're good. Or is there anything we need clarification with? Y'all make it impossible for me to know how we're doing. Is there anything we need help with before we go on?
What do you use decimal by? Like, how do you get 18.7 again?
You, like, if it's 8, if it's over 5, you learn that it's like 4.
So, square root of 349, we're rounding to the nearest tenth, so you look at the hundredth spot. 8's rounded up, so the 6 becomes a 7. Guys, we will be rounding a lot in here, so it's really important now to learn how to round if you haven't already. Okay? Okay, are we ready to go to midpoint? And we're almost done. Okay, your midpoint formula is MP equals the average of your x values and then the average of your y values. This one, the order doesn't matter at all because when you add two numbers, order doesn't matter. It's commutative. 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 Wait till I do these two. Still, label your points. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So your midpoint is X1, which is plus 9 over 2, comma, what? Yeah, -5, that's right. Plus -1 over 2. Okay, so that's equal to What's 7 plus 9? So 6 over 2. What's negative 5 plus negative 1? Negative 6 over 2. What's 16 over 2? 8. What's negative 6 over 2? There's your midpoint.
That's all.
Yep. Good? Okay, last one of these. And then we're going to do like 2 more problems, then we're done, guys. x1, y1, x2, y2. Your midpoint is x2, which is, x1, which is what? Plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2 over 2. So that becomes, what's negative 7 plus 3? Negative 4 over 2. What's 4 plus negative 4? 0 over 2. So what's negative 4 over 2?
Negative 2.
And 0 over 2? Guys, ordered pairs have to have what around them to be considered an ordered pair? Parentheses. Make sure if it's asking for midpoint, it's a point, you use parentheses. Okay? We're not doing this whole back page. We're only going to do 2. Okay? So, find the coordinates of A if M is the midpoint of AB and B has a coordinate of 3, negative 5. Okay, so I know my midpoint formula. Midpoint is x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, now I know the midpoint. I don't know both the points though. I only know one of my 2 points. That's the midpoint. Okay, so I'm going to write my midpoint as negative 1, 2. That's your midpoint. This is your x, this is your y. Okay, so I'm going to use my formula for the x value for your midpoint. I know one of the x values, okay, of my point. So I'm going to label this x1, y1. That's one of my points. I don't know my x2, y2. That's what we're trying to find. Okay? Do we get this? I have only one of my points, one of my 2 endpoints, but I do have the middle point. Okay? So I can do x1, which is 3, plus, I don't know x2, over 2, but I do know that what's the x value of my midpoint? Negative 1. So I know 3 plus something divided by 2 gives me the midpoint, or x value for my midpoint of negative 1. Now this is just an equation you solve. Okay? I always get rid of my denominator first since it's a big fraction. How do you get rid of the divide by 2? So the 2's cancel. So then I have 3 plus x2 equals negative 2. What do I do next to get x2 by itself? Subtract 3. And I get x2 is negative 5. So I know the x value of one of the other endpoints is negative 5. Now I need to find the y value of the other endpoint. We're going to do the same thing, but we're now going to use our y value for the midpoint and set it equal to the midpoint's y value. Okay, so do I know y1? Do I have y1 labeled? Yeah, negative 5. Plus y2, which I don't know, over 2 is equal to the y value of your midpoint, which is 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And then I get negative 5 plus y2 equals 4. So what do I do next?
Add 5 equals
And we get y2 equals 9. So what is my ordered pair of my other point? Negative 5, 9. So this is the same thing, guys. We're just working backwards to find one of our missing points. How do you know when to do this one? When it gives you the 1 point, but also the midpoint. Okay? So it says this is my midpoint. So I'm labeling that your x and your y. And then that's one of your endpoints. How do I know this is an endpoint? It says it's L, and we're looking at segment JL. That means it starts at J and ends at L. So that means this point L is one of my 2 endpoints. Okay? So let's label that x1, y1. So we're going to do our formula, which is x1, negative 8, plus x2 over 2 equals the x value of your midpoint, which is what? Yep, negative 5, you're right. Okay, solve this for x2. Multiply by 2. So then I have negative 8 plus x2 equals negative 10. What do I do next? Add 8. We get x2 equals negative 2. Good? Now let's find our y value. So we're going to do our y. 6 plus, we don't know our second y value, over 2 equals, but we do know the y value of our midpoint. It's 10. Multiply by 2. So I get 6 plus y2. And then subtract your 6. And we get y2 equals 14. So what's my midpoint? Or sorry, not my midpoint. Where is point J? Good? That was a lot of information, right? None of it was like super difficult, but it was a lot today, okay? Use your notes when you're doing your homework, okay? I'm going to pass your homework out. Please do not freak out. It is a ton of work. I am going to cross some off for you, okay?
Are we allowed to use our notes on text?
No.
We're allowed to write.
Okay. Welcome to this year. So I would get out like a pen or something to cross out the problems I'm going to tell you to cross out. So that way you know why you crossed them out. I did not realize when I did this, since it's 2 different pages, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, it's only 16 problems. No, it's 15 problems plus 16 problems. That's longer than I want y'all to have to do. 31, I know, that's why I'm crossing some out. Okay, first page, cross out 4 and 6. And 8. 4, 6, and 8 on page 1. Flip it over. Cross out 11 and 13. And guys, if it says words like bisects, again, what does that mean? It cuts the segment into 2 congruent pieces. Okay, so that's another way of setting them equal to each other. So 11 and 13, cross out. Next page. 2, 4, 7, 9. 2, 4, 7, 9. Then last page, 11, 15, 16. We feel better? I just got off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're now down to like 19
That's
problems.
still one.
You have 2 days. Okay? Y'all can get started now. We don't have a ton of time to do it today, but you do